Hello, good evening. Welcome to Sunday Live discussion session. I am Antara and I hope I'm audible to you. I'm Antara, and tonight we have another talented author, writer who is based in Bangalore, and she is very fluent. She writes a lot. She contributes to several anthologies, many magazines throughout the country and abroad as well. Her name is Jeena Papaadi, and we are going to talk about one of her books, Shadows in the Past. She has so far written 4 books, but tonight we are going to discuss more of this book, Shadows of the Past. This is an anthology collection of 15 short stories. Each story is from a different genre and talking about different topics, black magic, myths, superstition, love, hate, whatnot. We are going to talk about more about this book. Just now I'm going to send Jeena a request to join this session, and we're going to continue the discussion thereafter. This is going to be a very exciting session tonight, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. I know it has been a great support to my secret bookshelf from the very beginning. So yes, we are waiting for Jeena to join in. Yay! Hi Jeena, welcome.
Hi Antara. Thank you so much.
So good to see you.
Yeah, so good to see you too.
Yes. This is the first time we are actually connecting face to face.
That's true. That's true. I think we have spoken on phone only.
Yeah, and WhatsApp. So it's so nice to connect.
That's true. Yeah.
Lovely.
I join your programs almost every Sunday, and I'm very interested. I find them very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even I enjoy each of the sessions so much, and there are so much to take out of each session, and I'm like, I don't know whether you have noticed or not, I'm only talking to female authors for the past
No, I have not noticed that really.
For the past 3-4 months, I am only speaking to female authors.
Really?
Maybe because I feel that there's a lot to know, understand, and then take away from you, female authors. You are one of them. I have
I'm
seen.
glad to hear that.
I have seen. I have gone through your book, Shadows of the Past. This is one of your 4 books. You have also written poetry. You have also published a book on poetry. So we will talk about that. But the first thing that I really want to know is that the process of writing, like, is I understand that when you are compiling, when you are writing a full-length story, it's completely different. You are focused and you are only thinking about one story at a time. But when you are putting together a compilation, an anthology with 15 different stories coming from different genres and so many different topics that you are trying to talk about. So how the writing process happens? How does it happen for you?
Yeah. So shadows did not happen at one stretch. That is a very straightforward, simple answer. So Shadows was first published in 2016 as an ebook. So what happened was I had a set of stories with me, like 20, 30, I don't remember what's the number. So many stories were there with me. And I had no idea. I was contacting publishers, gathering some of the stories into an anthology, sending them to publishers, and happily getting rejected all the time. So in 2016, I saw that there was a kind of a contest by a popular group. I won't name them here for reasons I'll explain. They were conducting a contest, and even if you have published an ebook, you were eligible to enter. So I thought, okay, why not? I mean, I wasn't exactly looking at prizes, but I thought if the book gets some kind of attention. So I went through my stories again, all my stories, and usually an anthology will have a thread, something common between the stories, right? I mean, it's not necessary, but most anthologies have. So I began to look at all my stories and began to note down like what is common between these stories and trying to identify. And I realized that this thing about coincidences is coming up very frequently in my stories. Out of like 30 stories I looked at, 13 had this factor in it. And I mean, that's probably the first time I realized that I am fascinated by this idea of coincidences. So I thought, okay, that looks interesting, a little different from what I had been thinking about until now. So those 13 stories, I took them up, edited, compiled, and everything, and uploaded to, we have a very easy tool these days, Amazon KDP, self-publishing. So I uploaded it there, and I sent my entry as a PDF to them. So later on, I learned that even though this contest was open for public, it was, when the shortlist came, it's all established authors only. So it was just for their promotional purposes only that they opened it for the public. So we never stood a chance, but that was okay. It worked out fine for me because my book was out there. I put it up on Kindle Unlimited and I just happily forgot about it. But for some coincidence, again, coincidence, sometime later, one of the publishers that I had sent to earlier, they contacted me saying that we have this fund for authors if you're interested in self-publishing. Self-publishing usually costs a lot, but they were offering a kind of funding that you can use to publish your book. So I jumped at the chance because normally self-publishing rates are high and I won't be able to afford, but this was okay. Yeah. So this was okay.
But it doesn't make sense also. Like, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you in between. There are people who have their own reasons for self-publishing, but I really don't get the point of self-publishing. Like, but then I'm sure people have their own reasons, and there has been many books which has been published by the author first, and then did a lot well. So yeah. So for example, the
so
Martian,
the thing is,
which was
please continue.
Please continue.
No, you were saying about
Go
Martian.
ahead. So for example, I'll go on. So you need to stop me.
That's fine.
So the Martian was also self-published, and then it went on to become such a bestseller and such a huge hit movie. So similar. So there are things, but then for me, it doesn't make any sense. But then it's good that the funding is there.
I mean, there are so many writers now, and everybody is sending to publishers to get published. So I guess it's a very difficult process. So if you go for self-publishing, we have a book out there, and we have to do all the work, but at least we have a book out there. So I got that opportunity in 2018 to actually have the print book out, and that's how Shadows happened.
Right. And like this reminded me that I came across one author who had met with a very fatal accident, and after the accident, when he recovered, the first thing he did was he went ahead and self-published his book because he felt like, what if I do not get this chance to set my work out there? So I understand the emotions that are attached, the passion that the authors, the writers have with their work. So
it's a struggle.
Yes, and it's work of passion. So I think it's always there, and it's just about the right time. And we'll come back to the coincidence part in a short bit. But before that, I want to know why Shadows of the Past? Why choose this title for your work, for this anthology?
Okay. Yeah, so the simple answer is that one of the stories in the anthology is titled Shadows of the Past, the last one. So, but apart from that, I think the idea of many stories in that collection is that something we do in the past determines where we are today, who we are today. I mean, it's nothing new. We all know that. Our decisions, our actions in the past bring us to where we are today. And what we do today is going to affect our tomorrow, right? So that theme is there all the time. And in some way, the past motivates us, inspires us, and in some cases holds us back, right? There might be some fear or some experience in the past that holds us back. So that theme is also there in some of the stories. So I thought, I was thinking of the titles, and I thought this kind of shows our life, human life. What is in the past determines the present or the future. So that kind of came together as well.
Right. So even past, so something to add to that is even past sets the course of future. So
yes, absolutely. Yes.
So what we have done in the past is actually setting the course of our future, the present future, like that.
And in some cases, we have to break free from whatever is holding us back. Some fear from the past might be holding us back, but we have to break free from that. That is also, how our future is made, our today's decision. So that theme you can also spot in some of the stories.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually got hold. Your blurb also speaks about it. The catalyst coincidence that you have also spoken about right now. That so it's the catalyst for each of the stories. It's holding the stories in place. So you want to talk about more? You have already said that you, while browsing through your collection of short stories, you found the pattern. But would you like to share more about this coincidence and the binding factor?
I think we are all in some way fascinated with the idea of coincidences, right? Something happens. Why did that happen? I mean, I had given up that thought long ago. Or is it a miracle? Or is it all written already? So, like I said, I have been fascinated with it too. Whenever something happens, I try to find out, is there a reason or is it just a coincidence? So some amount of fascination is there for all of us. And maybe that's why some of the people who read the book also said that, yeah, I know, I have also felt this way, that why did that coincidence happen? How did that come about? And so they were able to connect with some of the stories in the book. And yeah, so that works. And every day we notice something coincidental in our life.
Yes, I am a great believer that nothing in this world is a coincidence. It's a fact. Everything is pre-planned and predestined and predetermined by someone, by super. But for layman, it is always a coincidence. Like it will always
because we don't see all the machinery working around us, right? Somebody talking to somebody, getting things rolling. We don't know. Absolutely. If we are looking, if we watch a movie, we can see how the things go around the protagonist. The protagonist doesn't know, but we know what's happening.
Absolutely.
It appears like a coincidence. Yeah. So in some of my stories, it's like that, like how that works towards that end, which looks like a coincidence.
So short stories, collection of short stories is my best genre. I don't know whether we can call it a genre or not, but that is something that I love. I enjoy reading. Collection of short stories, and I think it has a huge market. It has a best approachability as well. People prefer reading short stories. Even if you see many anthologies, web series have been converted, book to screen through anthologies have been converted. So I really think this is the best one. I have been reading some of the reviews on Amazon, and there were many people who have mentioned few stories, but then I could see The Onion as one of the best. Like people have said that out of these many stories, The Onion is my favorite. It has a humor, it has a connection of wit. So I was wondering, like, would you want to share what it is all about? Like it's a very intriguing story, or you want to share about one of your favorite stories out of all, which it's your call.
Yeah, about Onion, it came from what was that? It was a very small thread. I mean, it has nothing to do with reality. So the price of onion was rising at that time. So that's how the story starts. That I mean, 1 kg was like 100 and something at that time. So that is where the story originated, and it was written with just that thought in mind, thinking. I mean, someone is so obsessed with the idea that I have 16 onions with me now. If I finish it, then I'll have to go and buy again. So that's how it came about. And about other stories, my favorite story, that is very tough one because, it's like choosing one from your babies.
Right.
I like all my stories. However, one or two of them I have a special connect with. One is Coming of the Monsoons. I wrote it entirely thinking about a place I know from my childhood. The story is, of course, fictional, but that place is real, how I've written. I just wrote it for my own satisfaction at one point, and I put it up on my blog. And I was happy to note that many of my friends, especially many of them from Kerala, they began to tell me that, okay, that reminds me of my hometown or my native place where my grandparents live and things like that. So that there was that connection also. So that is one of my favorite stories. And the other one should be Shadows of the Past, I think. Again, there is
The
a
last
kind of a
story.
darkness. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, there is a spot of darkness in it, and something. I took a long time to write it. There is an overlap with time, like the past and the present. So bringing it about without causing confusion. So I worked a bit hard on it. So I guess those two I can name.
Great. So let's talk about your other three books. This is a collection of short stories. You have also written another collection of short stories,
Yeah.
Tales from the
Tales
Garden
from
City.
Yeah.
And then you have written a novel, I think, and it's Temple of Time. And then a collection of poems titled, I'm sorry, I'm getting it.
Lonely Journeys.
Lonely
No problem.
Journey. Yeah.
Journeys,
Okay.
yeah.
So you want to talk about the other three books? When did you publish them, and what are they
Sure.
about?
So Tales from the Garden City is my first book. I just kept it here so that I can show you. I don't think any copies exist even with the publisher. So that was published in 2009. So I had started writing seriously like a few years before that, maybe 3, 4, or 5 years before that. But I didn't know how to get it published or anything. And again, I had sent to several people and nobody was interested. It was my first serious effort. So hopefully I have matured a bit from then. So anyway, that was going on, and I was having a bit of a difficult time at that time. After all this publishing efforts and everything failed, but that has nothing to do with that. But I was going through a difficult phase, and you know, in those times, you are looking for some straw to clutch at, right? So these stories were there, and someone had suggested self-publishing to me before that, but I said no, 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 I don't want to go for that. I don't know how that works and all that. But at that time, I wanted to do something. So I picked up my stories, some of the best ones, and I looked around for a publisher. I had no idea what I was jumping into, whether all this money will go down the drain or not. But I went ahead with it. It actually saved me at that time. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it was a very difficult phase. But this book helped me pass that phase, you know, Tales from the Garden City. So that's what happened with the
It's
Tales.
close. It's going to remain close to your heart.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was published as print first, and later one of my friends suggested Amazon KDP, and so I thought, okay, let me try that, and that's how I came into Amazon self-publishing platform. But nobody was reading ebooks at that time, so it just remained there. It was only later that some people began to, you know, look up this book. And Lonely Journeys came a little later. But that was like I used to write poetry on my blog. I'm not an expert on poetry or anything. I just wrote because it was a kind of a release. I just wrote what came to mind. That's it. That's the only thing. And that was also kind of an experiment, putting it into a book and putting it up on Amazon. That's it. I didn't follow it up much, or I didn't try to get a print copy ready or anything like that. So that's about Lonely Journeys. Temple of Time actually started as a short story idea. I thought I was going to write a short story, like a little longish one, 20 pages, 25 pages. That's it. That's how it started. About the time that Tales was published, I started thinking about it. I didn't start writing, but this was there in my mind. And then it began to grow and grow, and the characters began to grow, and the plot began to become more and more complicated. And I realized that this is not a short story. This is a big thing. Yeah. So then I started writing that. It took me over 2 years to finish. Again, a lot of time spent in editing and all. Novel writing is very tedious work. You get bored after a while. So
I have noticed this. Like many writers will give a pause to their writing, like whatever they are writing, they will put a pause for a couple of months, and then they will start working on something else, and then they will go back to it. So I understand it becomes
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a
I think that is
slum.
essential also. Probably not a couple of months or so, but a short break is essential so that you can come back and look at it afresh, and so many problems will jump out and you will know how to
Hmm.
solve
Hmm.
that. So,
Right.
Temple of Time, that's how. There also this, overlap of time is there. So there was a bit of hard work overlapping these two. So Temple of
Right.
Time was published in 2015. That is only ebook
Okay.
again. There's no
Okay.
print copy, but it's available on Kindle Unlimited. So anyone
Okay.
who has subscribed to it
Can,
can read for
yeah,
free.
they can go to, yeah, read it.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me, I'm really intrigued to know. You have written short stories. You have also written and published poems, and you have published a novel as well, full-length story.
Mm.
So, what do you think is the difference in the writing process of all these three different uh, themes or different
Hmm.
uh, things? I don't know how
Um,
to put it across
yeah,
in
I
a better
understand. I
way.
understand. So, poems, like I said, I'm no expert, so I won't, pretend to know anything more about it, and I won't even try to explain that craft much. I just read poems because I like them, and I just wrote what came to mind. That's it. But when it comes to novel, like I said, it's a very tiring, very boring, long work. You will have a lot of energy and enthusiasm at the start. Probably it will take you through a couple of months, and then life catches up. And you will be thinking, okay, I'm tired. I have work to do. I have this. I have that. I don't want to write this stupid story. But
Anymore.
then, yeah, right. But then there is some spark inside which actually brings you back to it because you believe in that story. If you believe in that story, you will come back to it, and you again continue. That's all I can say. I mean, you come back to it and you read it, and that fire, revives, and you come back to it and you write it. That's how Temple of Time. I gave up writing for, like you said, for a few months. I was going through a very demotivated phase. I didn't want to write at all, so I gave up. But when I came back to it, I actually liked what I was writing, and I had written some 20,000, 30,000 words. So I can't give up at that time after writing so much. I can't call
Hmm.
myself a writer if I do that. So I forced
Right.
myself to sit and write that. So that is a very tiresome business. But short stories, I don't know if we can call it easier because you're actually creating any story, short story or novel. You're actually creating something from nothing, right? You only
Hmm.
have a
Hmm.
thread of a story. It's probably something you can describe in one line. And you're going to create you're finding people
Right.
around that
Around it.
story. You're
Hmm.
creating,
Hmm.
yeah, a plot, the location, and all those things you're creating. So it is hard work, but a few days or a few weeks you can finish a short story if you have the clarity, if you have the dedication, you can do that. But novel is like hard work that never ends, and towards the end you just want to throw the whole thing and go away. So
So,
even though it's not easy, it finishes fast, short stories. And it's
right.
such a relief when you get that off your
Hmm.
chest, that story that has
Right.
been bugging you for so long.
Yes, yes, yes. Also, I
So
think
I
it
have been
gives a
writing
sense of
like yeah.
accomplishment kind of a thing that, okay, I'm
Mm,
done. I have completed. A longer
right.
story, I think this is just my point of view that since it's a longer work, so you might feel that, oh God, how long
The
am I
novel,
going to
yeah, yeah,
complete?
yeah. If the moment you realize that your first draft is done, meaning everything from start to the end as you envisioned, it's not perfect, but in some flow from a start to end and a middle portion you have finished, that is like, okay, I can take a vacation now. Such a
Right.
relief.
And it requires so much of self-discipline. Like I have seen writers like you and other, like it's such a self-motivation as well as self-discipline is very much required to complete
Yeah.
a book and
Because
to
you
get it
have
out
to
there.
write every day or a
Hmm.
certain number of days a week if you have to get somewhere, right? We will always find reasons to not write. I'm telling you this.
Hmm.
People will think that, okay, writers will like writing, but on certain days you just don't want to write at all. But then you have
Obviously,
to bring yourself,
right.
yeah. So you have to
But it's
bring
like
yourself back.
absolutely, I like eating sweets maybe. So I always try to put an analogy to it. So if I like
Yeah.
eating sweets, but it doesn't mean that I can eat like gallant and
Yeah.
gallant of sweets or
Very good example.
I cannot I cannot keep eating sweets every day. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
understand this thing. Yeah, yeah. So, for friends who are watching us, who have joined us right now, I just wanted to remind and share this information that we are talking to Jeena Papaadi. I hope I pronounced the name correct.
That's right.
Shadows. She's the author of Shadows of the Past. It's a collection of short stories, and this book is available on our online bookstore as well as on Amazon and Flipkart. So, if you want to purchase a copy of this and get exclusive handwritten personalized notes from Jeena, then you have to visit our online bookstore. The link is given on our Instagram bio, www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in, and get yourself a copy of this book. It's the reviews before purchasing. I would suggest you to go and explore the reviews on Amazon wherever you want to. The reviews, the people who have read it are saying such nice things about it, and it's collection short stories. It has got every genre, and it's going to be a great read. So do go through the blurb and then decide whether you want to purchase the book or not. And if you have decided, then you need to buy it from our online bookstore. So that was Shadows of the Past, and we also talked about Gina's other book. I really want to know, Gina, are there any authors who have inspired you or who not influence, but who influenced you as an author? Like, author inspiring you as an author?
Hmm. Yeah, actually, every single author is the answer because in some way, from each book we read, we have something to learn. Because when we start writing, we realize that it's not that easy. It's not as easy as we thought.
Right.
We face a lot of issues. So how do we solve that? So each book we read, each book teaches us that how the writing, how that author has approached that writing, what is the perspective, what is the point of view, how have they resolved that plot, and how have they gradually, unraveled the plot and or developed
Mm,
the characters, things like that. So once we start writing and we create our characters, we begin to notice each of these things, right? So that is one thing, and also we learn vocabulary while we read. So I think in some
absolutely.
way, all authors influence all other authors. But especially, I would like to mention Salman Rushdie's book, Midnight's Children. Okay, that took
Right,
me
right.
totally by surprise because until then, whatever books I've been reading, they had a certain style, a kind of
Mm,
seriousness. Even stream of consciousness books had a certain um, pattern, if I may say so. But Midnight's Children, it was totally different. I mean, Salim Sinai, it's a first-person narrative, and he was writing in a I don't even have the words to describe it, an unexpected way. And after reading some pages, I paused and thought, okay, is this allowed? Writing like this? Is this even legal? Something like that. So surprised and so fascinated. And then I kept reading. So I mean, I read it several years ago, but that thought is there in my mind that you can write in
right.
whichever way you want it. There is no, I mean,
Absolutely.
if you read classics, there is a certain kind of writing. They
Yes,
all
yes,
look
yes.
alike, even if, the stories are
Right,
different. There is a
absolutely.
similarity. But this one was completely different. Okay, so that
And it blew
opened
your
the
mind.
door. Yeah,
Mm,
and it gave me the idea that you can write any way you want. That was new. Then another author is R.K. Narayan. He writes
mm.
very simple stories, but so what do you say, touching, and so we can so connect to it. So that was also a good lesson for me. And
Right.
Daphne du Maurier, the author of Rebecca, I've read
Mm.
many of her books, and I would say that Rebecca, if you have read only Rebecca, you should definitely read the rest of her books. There is a kind
Okay.
of dark, sinister, mysterious, world that she resides in. So some books, when I read some of her books, I would think, this is the kind of book I want to write. So
Yeah,
that's
right, right,
another author. There are several other
right.
authors, and after this call, I'm going to regret that I didn't name somebody else. Now,
You
Garcia
can
Marcus is
WhatsApp
there,
me.
but okay, I'll do that.
So if you remember, you can WhatsApp me. What I'm going to do is I'll share all these names, all these books on our Instagram storyboard so that people can revisit and take reference if they are looking for
Okay.
any recommendation. So don't worry if you have forgotten about
No, you can never
many
name
authors.
enough authors, you know. If I start naming now, it's
Absolutely.
like
Yes, yes.
it'll go on.
So similar thing happened with me. So I was reading all the classics, Gone with the Wind, and then Tales of Two Cities and everything I was reading, and suddenly I came upon this book called Cloud at Last. It's written by David Mitchell, and
Okay.
it's like it blew my mind. Like similar experience, I was like, is this like how can someone write something like this? It's
Okay.
like I can't even explain. And I think that experience, that
Hmm.
reading that book made me a reader. Like I have been
I will check that
reading
book out.
ever
I will want
since.
to read that.
I have been reading ever since, like since
Mhm.
childhood. But that book was like, I started looking for books. Like, wow, if someone can write like that, and it's
Yeah.
it's 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 I think five or seven. The stories are seven eras, starting
Hmm.
from 1500, then it's like 1600, different eras to a future, and then how you will see how the everything is connected and comes back to zero. Like it starts from
Hmm.
zero, the stories, and then it comes back to zero again. And it has been made a movie as well,
Oh, I see.
by
What's the
Tom
title
Hanks.
again?
So
Oh, I see.
Cloud
Okay.
Atlas.
Okay.
So
Cloud Atlas.
by
Okay.
Tom.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you want to watch
Hmm.
the movie, but then the book is obviously much more.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, like you read it, you get to see it. So
yeah.
I can totally understand what when you said that it blew your mind off. Like
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Exactly.
I think so. Like I was not exposed to this kind of literature. I am not a
Mm.
literature student, or
Mm.
I'm not. I do not have much uh, friends who are into reading or into literature. So that was a discovery which I'm really thankful to. So I can totally
Okay.
understand what
Yeah,
you are saying. So that's
yeah,
great. So what are you reading? I know you are an avid reader. You read a lot.
yeah, yeah.
So what are you reading currently?
Yeah, so this year I made the decision that I'm going to read War and Peace finally because people
Oh,
always scare us about War and Peace. No, it's actually I don't know why people scare us because it's a thick book because we read other thick books also, but somehow I was always scared about it. I have read Anna Karenina, but even then I was terrified of approaching War and Peace. But this year I thought, okay, I'm going to read it. So I downloaded the ebook from Amazon. So I started it a couple of months ago, I think, and it's gradually going. It's okay. I mean, that is the pace I want it to go with,
yeah.
and it's very, very interesting. Okay, I mean, I want to kill those people who told me that you shouldn't read War and Peace. It's very difficult and so on. It's very interesting. But usually I read two books in parallel. One will be an ebook and one is a print book. So the print
Yeah,
book goes
same.
faster
Yeah.
because War and Peace will take a long time, and I have allowed it a long time, a few months to finish. That's fine.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just now I finished reading a book called Sophie's Choice by
yeah.
William Styron. It was later made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. So
Okay.
probably you've seen it or something. It was
Yeah, might
a
have.
very heavy. Mm, yeah, so I haven't seen the movie. I was looking for the movie actually, but then movie is not available anywhere. So I thought, okay, let me get the book and read. Just finished it. It's very heavy, heavy stuff actually, all with the
Hmm.
Auschwitz and Holocaust and things like that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
finished a couple of days ago, and I've not started anything new. But I have a book by Benjamin, the Malayalam author. It's a book
Right,
in
right.
Malayalam itself. So
Okay, okay.
that is probably what I'll be starting next.
So I think it has been translated to English, which was also entered
Yes, yes.
to
Benjamin's
some.
book, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. It has
yeah,
been
it won an
longlisted or
award and all.
shortlisted. Right, right, right.
Mm.
Great. So that's a great reading plan you have already in place. Even I am a slow reader, and I allow myself. Like I have so many friends who have already read like 100 books. It's only 5 months, and they've already read 100 books,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't know how it goes. So,
yeah.
but then for me,
Different
I'm
people have
okay.
different reading
Right.
speeds, and I mean, we go with
Yes,
what we
yes,
can do, right?
yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
today I just had a call with someone from Hotstar, but then it's nothing final. they might be interested. I had approached them for manuscripts if they would be interested to read manuscript or not, and they have agreed. They have given me a phone number to connect with. It's just initial, but I think if things work out, then I'll get you connected with them if things work out. But it's very initial stage. So that is something I'll get in touch with you later. So I think we have come to the end of this session. Jeena, it was lovely speaking to you. But before we wrap up and I say goodbye to you, would you like to share a sneak peek from your upcoming work? Anything that you're working on right now?
Yeah, sure. I'm glad you asked, Antara, because a short while ago you said that somebody who had an accident suddenly, I mean, afterwards he decided that he wants to publish, right? So something similar is my story as well. For the past couple of months, I mean, we are facing this COVID crisis, right? So I had been working on a new novel. It's very, I mean, like probably a few chapters now, working on it for a few months. But now, since COVID struck and there's so much uncertainty in things around, I decided that whatever other stories unpublished that I have with me, I want to publish them first. I mean, what's the point of holding on to them and thinking that someday somebody big publisher is going to come and publish it? So I quickly decided, okay, the novel is going to take time, so let it be there for a while. And for the past 1 month, what I've been doing is picking up these stories, whatever I think are the best of the lot, and editing them and compiling them and organizing them and so on. And so I have 20 stories at this time. And today, Antara, the final version is ready. But I'm going for ebook only at first. I just want to get it out there. If something happens tomorrow, that is a reality. So not just being, dark or morbid about it.
Yeah.
But so that is ready, and I'm just previewing the Kindle version, and it should be published in a couple of days. It's again an anthology of stories. Yeah, 20 stories.
Okay. So it's wonderful to know that a new book is coming out soon, and I really look forward to reading it, getting it on my Kindle. I also prefer reading Kindle, and I'll look for it. I'll wait for its launch.
Thank you.
But I think it's the best way to get it out as an ebook, and maybe if you are also getting it published with someone now, the paperbacks, so you can hold on to the rights, and after the contract is over, you can republish it with some other publisher. So it can always work out. It's not like if you have published it once, it cannot be republished. For example, there is one book I remember. It's Immortal by Krishna Uday Shankar. It was first published by Penguin, and right now it has been published by HarperCollins, I think. So same story, same book, it has been republished. So I think
why would they do that?
So I think same story. The rights were with the author. They wanted to change.
They changed the publisher. So I'm just wondering why they did.
So the publisher might have wanted to publish that story because it was doing good. So they did it. Similar to, I think, Amish's story, whatever happens with Amish's books, right? Chetan Bhagat's book. So once you have published it with one publisher, then after the contract is over, you can again get it published. So we can talk about that later. And so it's really nice to know that there's more coming out from Jeena. So I'm really looking forward to that. And all my good wishes for your new book and all your writings. Do not stop writing. Whatever happens,
thank you.
Continue. And all my best wishes for Shadows of the Past and your existing 3 books. And I'm so glad that this book is associated with my secret bookshelves, and we have the copies with us. So that's great, wonderful. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so
Jeena.
much.
Have a lovely. I am honored. Actually, I was so upset in the morning. I was like, oh God, it couldn't happen. Like I said that, please, Jeena, let's do it in the evening. Let's do it.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you did it. So
I'm glad too that I got this opportunity. To see you
Take
also
care.
and speak to you like this.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And so there has been so many questions so I got this opportunity to share and ask with you. I'm so glad we did. So take care, Jeena, and
Yeah,
we
you
will
too.
connect again, hopefully with
Absolutely.
your new book when it is
Yeah.
launched soon. And have a lovely week ahead. And thank you so much. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.
You too. You too. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye. So, people, this was Jeena R. Papaadi, the author of Shadows of the Past. This book is available on our online bookstore, so do not let the opportunity go by. Visit our online bookstore. The link is given on our Instagram bio. It's www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in, and the buyers are also going to receive a personalized handwritten note from Jeena. So wow, so don't let that opportunity go by. Take care, guys. Happy weekend, happy week, happy reading. Bye. Bye, Jeena.
Bye, Antara. Bye, everyone.